Hey folks, Evil DM here. I'm back with another episode of Papers and Parsecs. Got some new video this week, and I apologize for last week. Had a little bit of a cold, didn't want to subject you to a bad voice. But we're back on things, so don't forget to subscribe, hit the like, and comment below what you think of the videos. Share the videos out there so others can see them and let them know about the Star Wars 1E role-playing goodness that is this system and how easy it is to get into it and play it. And also, it has room for house rules and for the ability to make, rulings and adjudications, because that's how open-ended these rules are and how wonderful they are. But this week, diving right into it, we're going to be talking about starship battles or ship battles, just small ship battles. So, in this example, when we were talking about ships and everything, I'm going to be referencing the TIE Fighter, for example. Yes, you could see that. Great. So let me put that to the side for now, and we'll get back into this. So normally when you're talking about a ship, there are going to be three different things you're worried about. And if we flip to, let's see, page 61. And there we are. Perfect. There's three skills that are very important with ship-to-ship combat. We'll call this video ship-to-ship combat. That'd probably be easier. There's the piloting skill, the shield skill, and the gunnery skill. That's your three. Piloting can be used to influence the speed, which we'll get to in a moment, and also piloting skill can be used to evade other ships when they're being attacked. Gunnery obviously will be firing the weapons, and shields is when the ship actually has a shield rating, and you use your shield skill to try to block the shot, so to speak, and absorb some of the damage, and you'll be adding that. Well, I'll show you in a minute. So when the ship battle usually starts, generally the two ships will start at long range. And when you're getting into it at first, both sides will decide. Are they going to close in on each other or flee? So if both ships are going to close in, it moves from long range to medium range. At this point, you would decide what you want to do. Do you want to move closer, or do you want to start an attack? Noting that when you do start attacks at medium range, you suffer a lot of penalties. Along with long range, you can start attacks. It's pretty much a lot of penalties at that point. But you don't want, due to the fact that a lot of these ships, you have to do so many things at once, and sometimes you don't have multiple people on the crew, and maybe you're in a one-person ship, and you're going to be suffering from a lot of penalties when you're doing this. So it's best to get into short range for everything. So let's just say everybody is in agreement. They're going to go into short range and find out what's going on. So both ships will go step by step until they're short range. Okay, that's fine. Both ships are moving in and out. Perfect. Now let's just say both ships decide to ditch each other. Like, oh crap, there's this ship. Oh crap, that you don't want to meet. And they go past long range. The combat battle is completely over. Once you're over the long range threshold, the battle is just done. Now, there's also one thing you can do is nothing. You could just sit there and wait, which is possible, and then the other ship just closes in without having to do any movement rolls or anything. But let's just say that one ship, you get into the medium range, and then all of a sudden you decide, oh crap, I'm out, and you start backing away. This is when you start using the ship's Sublight Speed codes. Now, looking back at the TIE Fighter, if we had two TIE Fighters going against each other, and one was deciding to ditch the battle, and the other one was going to chase, you would take the Sublight Speed here, and you'd roll those dice, or the speed dice, and the higher number would win, and that would determine if you were getting further away, or you were closing in. So if you were both at medium range, and your ship decides to ditch, and the other ship is going to chase, you roll those speed codes, total up just like normal, the 5 dice, and let's say your ship gets higher than the chasing ship, you would move to the long range, and that's how far apart you would be. But say the chasing ship beats you, you would move into short range. So it's kind of easy, but yet a little bit complicated at first, but you'll get used to it. Now, you can also use your piloting skills to add to the sublight speed to get that little extra maneuvering and human interaction with the ship to maybe move a little bit faster or figure a different lane to move in. So what they do say is if you want to affect it, then you can use your piloting skill, and then you would roll that as a separate roll, adding that result to the Sublight Speed result, adding the two together. So if you got 12, and then you have, say you had 4, and you get another 12, you would have 24 versus what they rolled. But then again, they could do the same thing. So it's really up to you on the first interactions what you want to do, if you want to add that piloting skill or not. Now, let's just say we're in our short range, and we're going to start firing at one and over. So each ship has the ability for weapons and fire control. So each ship has that. So look at each weapon on the ship. On this ship, we have 2 laser cannons that fire as 1. Fire control is 2D. Damage is 5D. Okay, that's pretty easy enough to say. So when you are attacking with this ship, you're going to roll the fire control dice. That'll be, what you're using. 2D. But you should also have the gunnery skill, which would also add to that. If you don't have it, then you don't have that skill, obviously, and you would probably just fire the control. Or if the GM wants to, you can just use the top technical, I believe it is, for that. But generally, you wouldn't roll anything. So it's pretty straightforward when you're firing. If you want to fire point blank, your target number is 5. If you want to fire short range, which a ship is in our example, would be 10, 15 for medium, and 20 for long, provided that the other ship is not evading. It's just like combat. If you're just going to sit there and take it, that's the number they have to beat. And of course, as the gunner, you could fire more than once. Of course, negative penalties apply, just like combat with multi-actions. So, we're firing. There's 2 TIE fighters. One is firing at the other one. He rolls 2D plus 3D, we'll say he has, and he has 5D total, and he gets a 15, and he's in short range. He beats that 10. The TIE fighter is not evading, so boom, he gets hit. But let's just say he wants to evade. All right. It's pretty easy, and you can evade freely during the segment. It's considered reactionary, so the first evasion is pretty much you can evade. Once you do that more than once, it's when penalties start to apply, because obviously you have to evade every attack, just like you have to dodge every attack. To evade, you're going to be rolling your maneuver ability, or maneuver, just right here, plus your character's piloting skill to get the results to add to the base number I just gave you before. So we were at 10 for short range, and maneuverability is 2. Piloting skill on the other ship is, say, 3. So you roll your 5 dice and say you get 15. So 15 gets added to the 10. Now you have a 25 target to beat. And the other guy did not do that, so you maneuver the TIE fighter out of the way and not crash and be destroyed instantly like every TIE fighter pilot in history. But let's just say you don't evade, or you evade and you get, let's say you got 5 dice, I said. You got 5, added that 15 total, and the other TIE fighter got a 20. So he hits you. Now it's time to see if you have shields. No, this one does not have shields on it, but let's just say this was a special TIE fighter that had some type of shielding unit, and it said 1D here, for example. The pilot of the defending ship will be like, well, I'm going to use my shields, obviously, to try to deflect it or whatever. Okay, so then you would take, to use that, you would use your Starship's shield skill trying to beat the 10. And these are different numbers now, just to take note. 10 of its long range, 15 of its medium range, and 20 at short range. Why is it like this in backwards? Because according to the book, the further you are away, the more time you have to calculate the shields and more time to adjust the longer range to deflect the damage. So we're using our Starship shield skills, and let's say we have 2 dice in it. Most people don't have a lot of dice in it unless they're specifically a fighter. Let's just say they don't. We get the 2 dice, we roll, we're at short range, and we don't beat the 20, so the shields don't even affect anything. But let's just say you did. And I have 1D. I keep pointing at the screen like you can see it, but let's say you have 1D on the shields. So when you do hit that modifier, hit that 20, the shields become active and will try to absorb some of the damage, and that 1D gets added to the hull, which is now we're going to damage. It's real simple. Each ship has a die code that you roll, and you minus 1D for any range over short. So our hull is 2D. So we're at short range, so we're going to take our 2 dice and roll those. And we'll just say the other person fired the lasers and they got a 15 for the damage total. After rolling that, we'll roll the hull die code. If the shield was successful, we would actually have a 3D because we get the 2D plus 1D for shields, equaling 3D. But right now it didn't work because we don't have any. We have 2 dice. We have to beat that 15. Unfortunately, it's not going to be possible. So we're going to roll anyway because if we're looking at the chart, which I'll bring it over for you in a minute here, going into damage right here, as you can see. Yes, good. Hull greater damage than the roll, you're lightly damaged, your shields are blown, and your controls are ionized. So we're going to roll and hope to get that 12 because either that or we're going to blow some dice or maybe, try to get some extra dice in this roll. Maybe want to burn a force point to get double the dice, whatever. We're going to roll our 2 dice and we're going to be, let's just say we rolled a 12. Okay, versus the 15, we're lightly damaged because we're just kind of over it. Now, let's just say we roll and it's greater than or equal to the whole roll, but less than 2 times the whole roll. We're going to be heavily damaged. If we're 2 times, which basically the way this is worded is so weird, but at 15, we're down at, let's say we got a 5 or a 6, actually, 5, 6 around that area. That means we're severely damaged. Let's just say we roll, we have those 2 dice, and we get double 1s, which, oof. We're pretty much destroyed in that one shot. What these all mean is heavily damaged ship speeds maneuver, let's see here, maneuver, fire control, and everything is reduced by 1. The pilot's gunner skills and shield operation skills are not affected. So, okay, that's fine. Severely damaged, the ships act like heavily damaged ships. In addition, roll on the Starship damage table on page 142, and the indicated ship system stops working. So on page 142, which is towards the end of the back of the book. So if we go to the back of the book here, where is it again? We roll a d6, and it'll tell you which one out of these is the one affected, and the results are here. So back to that page again. Whoops, I put 16 in, not 61. A little dyslexic there this morning. So back to this damage here. Where are we? Oh, I went too far. Okay. Severely damaged, obviously we roll on the table below. And severely damaged ship, which again is heavily damaged, becomes dead in space. So if you were severely damaged and now you're heavily damaged, you become dead in space. Until repaired, it cannot move, fire, enter hyperspace, or make any shield rolls. A severely damaged ship which is severely damaged is basically considered destroyed. Now, when you're lightly damaged, as it says here, the shields are pretty much gone. And you can say, or the controls are ionized, whichever one you want to do. It's up to the GM. But the shields are basically blown. If the shield code is reduced by 1 for all future attacks. The shields are restored after the ship is repaired, and you can see repairs on page 43 of how that happens. So that's basically how it works. Now there are torpedoes and missiles, and they're for short-range combat only. They are completely dissipated by shields. If the shields are successful, there is no damage whatsoever. So when you're firing, add the ship's speed code die only against the base target number. It can only be applied with no penalty for multiple shots. And if you deflect that, it just basically absorbs it and you don't take any damage. So that's how that works. If you have any questions on this, and you can go through a couple of these things by yourself, it's pretty self-explanatory when you do this. Seems a little complicated at first. But, I mean, if you take 2 ships and put them side by side, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's a matter of just rolling a bunch of dice. And there's a lot of rolls. Now, before I do go, there is one thing that people were wondering. Now, what if we're in a ship with multiple stations in it, like the Millennium Falcon, for example? Or the Emperor. Oh, I can't think of the name. The Emperor's shuttle. I can't think of the name. Oh, I'm sorry about that, folks. I'm slipping my mind here. But let's just say the Millennium Falcon. They obviously have a spot for a person to do piloting, a co-piloting spot, a gunnery spot. As we both know, there's a couple spots for that, and a shields person. So those individual people will roll for those individual stations. So if you have a ship that has a crew in it, not every player will be kind of bored. Now, if you have a ship that only has the room for like one, where it says over here where it says crew, that's what you're going by right here, crew one. Then if it has room for passengers, the passengers cannot do anything to affect anything on the ship. You have to make sure that the crew numbers will add up to different stations. So if it says crew of 4, then you would need 4 people to operate the various things on the ship. So that way, when you do have ship battles with a little bit larger ship, every player has something to do on there. Hopefully they have the skill for it, but every player has at least something to try to do on the ship, and ship battles aren't boring. I know a lot of people who play Star Wars actually don't do ship battles whatsoever. In fact, we played an entire campaign for RollHigherDie.com where we really didn't do anything in the way of ship battles. Maybe our ship got kind of attacked and we had to kind of do some navigation things, but it was lightly touched upon and not really, we didn't get into any one-on-one battles or attempt to, or we even really couldn't. And that was probably the GM's choice because he didn't want to deal with it, or it just, the situation never came up. I don't know. But I do know quite a few GMs that just completely ignore space battles because they just don't find it entertaining. So, whatever. I believe there's also a game out there, and I've never actually played it myself. Star Warriors, I believe it's called. That West End Games in, which is actually just a tactical battle simulation game for Star Wars that you can play. And don't quote me on the name because I don't recall it off the top of my head, and I just remembered it right now. But I've seen the box. I've just never actually played it because it didn't really interest me. But maybe it'll interest you. So go ahead and go out there and check it out. So with that said, don't forget to like the video, comment below, and subscribe, and share the videos if you can so people can see the goodness of Star Wars First Edition. The best edition in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. So keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.